Last, guys, last night I didn't watch Raw. I haven't been really watching it from beginning to finish for quite some time, but I have been paying attention through YouTube and Twitter and all the other places. And last night, one of the things that WWE tweeted about on social media was they were going to have, for their main event to close out the show, a women's championship showcase, a first ever women's championship showcase, where you would have the Raw women's champion and the SmackDown women's champion teaming up against the women's tag team champions. This seems like potentially on paper a good idea, even though it's a match that people have seen before. The only exception is now you have the tag champs, which are Alexa and Nikki. Basically you have the tag team championships represented by, Alexa and Nikki. So the women's tag titles at least get some shine, some spotlight on them, especially from a main event status. But it wasn't the championship showcase that people talked about. No, it was the ending. The ending basically involving Bayley. Because one of the things that was trending besides the showcase was Bayley. And I'm thinking, why is she trending? I know she's there. It's what she did that made her trend. Because you see, finally, something happened that fans have been waiting for. Bayley turning heel. That's right. Bayley herself turning heel. Now, what's funny is I wonder what her friend, who I actually checked out here at my job one day, and that's the truth, would probably think about this. I'm wondering if she contacted her friend and in Bayley and asked her, when was the decision made? I'm just curious. Anyway, truth is, it was something that a lot of fans felt a long time coming. Now, for anybody that lives in the Bay Area and the Central Valley region, like I do, those around here in this region that may know Bayley will probably be texting her and messaging her and asking her, when did this happen? When the decision was made? They're going to want to know why. Anyway, like I said, long story short, Bayley turned heel by whacking a chair across Becky's back several times. But why? Why did she turn heel? Why did she turn heel and align herself with for a second. Sorry about that, but like I was saying, people, from a story perspective would want to know, why did she turn? Why did she align herself with Sasha with this new why did she align herself with Sasha, who had also turned heel upon her return several weeks ago? Why is this happening now? And hopefully we'll get some explanation tonight. Maybe Bayley's going to reference Sasha's promo from last week on Raw. Well, basically, she admitted to everything that the rumors were saying about her and Bayley after WrestleMania, and maybe Bayley will follow that up by saying, yes, that is true, and maybe she'll add more to it. My thought is, and I was thinking about this last night, my thought is this: the reason they're turning Bayley heel and aligning her with Sasha, well, first of all, in case you guys don't know, behind the scenes, Paul Heyman has been very influential, I should say, influential. I can speak words here. Has been very influence-like, I'll put it that way, with Sasha and how she's presented. So one has to assume that maybe when he was given the challenge to add Bayley to the equation and align her with Sasha, Paul was like, hey, let me have her. Let me show you what I can do. So Paul Heyman likes to add realism to certain scenarios and story arcs. So my thought process is this. My opinion is this. Speculation and everything. That basically Bayley is not only going to probably acknowledge what Sasha said a week ago, maybe even show a clip or something, and then follow it up with her own explanation, but she's also going to add a little bit more to this realistic take. That basically her and Sasha are upset at the fact that they were lied to. That this whole thing with them having this new attitude and everything, and this new attitude, the reason they're acting the way they are is basically because of the fact that they are sick and tired of being lied to, and now it's payback time against the WWE and those that wronged them. So it could go either way. I'm thinking that Bayley's going to probably add more to what Sasha said a week ago tonight by saying, look, you want an explanation? Let me ask you this. How would you feel if someone you worked for promised you everything if you did this or if you did that? And when you did it, they didn't follow through on their promises. I'm just saying. So we'll have to wait and see what the explanation will be, but a lot of people have agreed this is a long time coming for Bayley. JD from NY206, who's one of the voices of House of Glory, actually basically said that what WWE did last night is give themselves the golden ticket to WrestleMania and one of the co-main events to headline the show between Sasha and Bayley, because what he's assuming is the Bayley heel turn is not going to last too long, but it'll be just enough to help build that foundation and grow from that foundation towards, or build. Basically, his assumption is Bayley's not going to stay heel for very long, but it'll be just enough to build a foundation, to build a feud and a storyline between the two, some real animosity, if real life in a sense, almost animosity, that could lead to potentially the match we've been wanting from both of them at WrestleMania. That's what he's assuming, and he could be right. But we'll have to wait and see. For all we know, they could give us a twist, and instead of Bayley going back to a face, it's Sasha that goes back to being a face. Who knows? But yeah, basically, Sasha and Bayley are now aligned again, but this time on the dark side. Now, unfortunately, what this does do, and we'll probably get confirmation about that tonight, is this basically by default, if you will, makes Charlotte the babyface in this feud. Yeah, it makes Charlotte the babyface by default. What Bayley did last night, when WWE pulled the trigger on finally saying, okay, let's see what you could do as a heel. Because even Bayley at one point in an interview said, hey, I would love to try being a heel. I would love to try it. I would love to sink my teeth into that. By default, by WWE pulling that trigger, by default, they made Charlotte the babyface. That's what they did. And it's going to be really interesting how they present Charlotte as this aggressive babyface. It still has the cocky attitude, there's no doubt, but probably will kind of do a response promo on Bayley. Like, look, I may have done and still do a lot of things that people may not agree with, but at least I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not. And speaking of that, we could hear a line like that. I would not put it past WWE, Paul Heyman, or whoever is going to help continue and expand on Bayley's heel turn tonight by having Bayley explain that, hey, I wouldn't have to do this, meaning Sasha wouldn't have to be like this if our two friends, our two fellow horsewomen, didn't act like people they're not. And if that's one of the reasons, I'll ask you this. Not ask you, but I'll say this. if that's one of the reasons why Bayley and Sasha turned and focused on Becky and now probably Charlotte, is because they're acting like people they're not, I've got a feeling that might get a mixed reaction. Because if the goal for Bayley and her aligning with Sasha is to be like, look, all I want back is the Charlotte and the Becky Lynch I first met in NXT. I want those individuals. I don't want a Charlotte Flair that's trying to be her father, or a Becky Lynch that's trying to be the female equivalent of Stone Cold Steve Austin. I want the Charlotte Flair that was sweet and kind when I first met her. Or, as well as I want the Becky Lynch that came out and showed and was not ashamed to show that she was a fan of steampunk. So, again, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I gotta get back into work. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but there's a lot of directions they can go with, in Bayley's response as to why. Again, one of the reasons people will point out, may agree with, I should say, is the fact that basically Bayley and Sasha are mad, and they're doing this because they want to get back at the company for lying to them, manipulating them. And maybe they won't stop until maybe perhaps they get an apology out of the McMahon family. Who knows? It just, makes you wonder. That could be one way. It could be one reason. And again, the other reason could be maybe from Bayley's perspective, she just wants her friends back. She just wants the horsewomen of old back. The Charlotte Flair that first debuted in NXT that was sweet and kind and excitable, and the Becky Lynch that was a fan of steampunk, So I don't know. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe it is a reactional thing. Maybe she's upset at the fact that fans still cheer, believe it or not, and this is true, they still cheer Charlotte. Yeah, you may say, oh, she gets booed. She gets some boos, yes, but sometimes those boos could be like woos, and she still gets a ton of cheers. People still pop for her because of the fact that she's not just Ric Flair's daughter, but I think it's out of respect of the fact that she's the only full horsewoman in the group that didn't compete on the indies before coming to WWE. She was naturally born and bred here, and she's proven that. And she's actually done something about it. She's actually become a star without having to rely on working any independent promotions. So, that might be the only reason they still cheer her and respect her. So that could be a reason too. Whatever the explanation is tonight that we'll get, I know people are tuning in tonight to see what's going to happen. But yeah, this is a long time coming. However Bayley gets presented, it's going to be really interesting. But, going forward, will this be the catalyst of the foundation that builds towards Sasha and Bayley at WrestleMania? Or is it just something the WWE's like, you know what, we need to get people invested in Clash of Champions, what can we do? Oh, I know, we'll turn Bayley heel, and by default, we'll turn Charlotte face. I don't know. Maybe that's it, maybe it's not, I don't know. But what do you guys think? What do you think about Bayley's heel turn last night on Raw? What do you think the explanation will be out of some that I kind of gave as an example as possibly being the explanation? How do you think WWE will approach this? Or do you think they just did something out of the fact that maybe they were desperate? Because AEW is, a month away from happening on TNT, and they need something to keep people's investment on SmackDown going to Fox. What do you guys think? What do you all think about it? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. I gotta get back into work now, but let me know what you guys think. And I will talk to y'all later.